Merry Christmas. Today I have this beautiful, really simple, sparkly, glowy, festive makeup, and I also have it with two different lips, so if you want to go with something a little bit more festive, such as this red lip, you certainly can. You can see here that I've also changed up the eye with a tiny bit of eyeliner, so you can totally adjust this look to suit your needs. I've already prepped my skin with skincare and a little bit of primer, which is in my sunscreen. And then I'm going in with this 2-in-1 foundation and concealer by Milani. Here I'm just testing the shade against my skin. As you can see, my face looks super pale and a little bit red. The skincare that I'm using at the moment has a lot of active ingredients in it, so it's making my skin quite red and a little bit dry. And then the sunscreen on top is quite thick, so the overall finish is something that I'm not quite used to, but it's fine. The foundation, once it goes on, allows me to adapt the tone of my skin to match my body. If you already watch my content, you'll know I reach for this foundation a lot. It's a great dupe for the Armani Luminous Silk, in my opinion. In terms of drugstore, it's a really good dupe. It's extremely affordable. It does have probably a tiny amount more coverage than the Armani Luminous Silk, but both of them are completely buildable. I just like how it sits on the skin. It's not at all drying, it's not too dewy. It's the perfect natural foundation that can be sheared down with your fingers or a brush. Applying it with the sponge gives you a bit more of an airbrushed finish and a little bit more coverage. It also has a really good shade range for a drugstore foundation, and again, because it doubles as a concealer, you can just layer this in the areas that you need more coverage. You'll notice that when I applied it in the beginning, I dabbed it over my entire face before I went in with the sponge, because I didn't want the sponge to absorb too much of the product, and it just makes it easier when you're covering a large surface area. Off camera, I filled my brows in with my Urban Decay brow blade, and I'm setting that in place with the Benefit Cosmetics 24-hour brow setter. On the skin, I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Stick in the shade Shadow. This is going into the hollows of the cheeks, also the sides of the nose and around the top of my forehead, and then we're going to go in with a bronzer slightly above this to warm up the skin, so this really is just to create shape. I'm stamping that into the skin so it stays in the area that I've applied it, but it also looks softer, and I'm using my It Cosmetics Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection brush in number 7. Because we are using a cream, you can dampen your bristles with a setting spray. This will help to kind of migrate the product easier. It gives a lovely blend, but it also sets your makeup in place. Why I like to use this brush is because the bristles are synthetic, so they work better with creams, and it also has a dual end, so one side is slightly smaller, which is perfect for around the nose. Then I like to go with my beauty blender to press that into the skin, just for a more seamless finish. Sticking with creams, I'm going to use the Huda Beauty Tantour in the shade Light, and I'm going to use this with my sponge. Again, it gives the most airbrushed finish to the skin, and the placement for this is above where we've applied the contour, because this is about bronzing and adding warmth to the skin. It's not necessarily about the shaping. Obviously this will add shape to the face, but when we're actually talking about sculpting your face to give a bit more structure, you want a colour that's slightly cool toned and a little bit more grey, like an actual shadow. Once you've laid down your initial colour, you then can turn over your beauty blender to press that into the skin to take off some of the excess product and give a more seamless finish. The next product I'm taking is by Kevyn Aucoin. This is the Sensual Skin Enhancer. It's a heavy duty concealer. You genuinely only need a pinprick size amount of this product to conceal around your entire eye area. It's extremely pigmented, so a little really does go a very long way, so much so that they actually reduce the size of their pots because you just wasn't getting through it within the expiry date. It's very emollient, so it really spreads across the skin well. Because it is highly pigmented, you do only need a very small amount, which makes it perfect for spot concealing. Moving on to blush, we're going to stick with creams. It really does give the skin a beautiful dewy finish. So I'm taking this Anastasia Beverly Hills blush in the shade Peachy Keen. Like I did with the bronzer, I'm putting this onto my beauty blender and I'm using this to bounce that onto the skin. This is going on the outer third of my cheek, so on the cheekbone and up towards the temple. It gives a lifting effect to the skin. And this is also a lovely area for that glowy finish, so it's a nice area to apply the blush, and then that means we can also set the centre of the face without taking away from that blush. I've chosen to use the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Powder. This has rose wax in it and it gives this beautiful blurring effect to the skin. It doesn't look cakey, and again it just kind of gives this almost waxy appearance to the skin because it's completely blurred. It takes away any visible pores or fine lines. And you can really touch up your skin with this without getting a kind of cakey finish to the skin. So for me, it's a real winner. I know Charlotte Tilbury is quite expensive if you don't have a pro discount, but for me, it really is worth the money. We're keeping the eyes super simple today. I'm using these beautiful Iconic London glaze crayons in the shade Champagne and Volcanic. These are dual-ended. One side is a cream shadow stick and the other side is described as a grown-up glitter glaze. First off, I'm using the crayon side against the brow bone, and this gives this insane champagne tone which has a beautiful soft candlelight glow. You can see when I turn my head how it just catches the light and enhances the brow bone, which is beautiful. I'm then going to reach for the opposite side, which is a metallic glitter glaze. I'm applying a couple of strokes to the actual eyelid, and then I'm going to use a flat brush to blend this over the lid and up into the socket. This really does give a wash of colour, and they come in a range of different shades, and I feel like this is just such a beautiful and simple way to create a really effective eye-catching finish. I believe there are around 6 shades. I would really love to see some more because I love all of them. They're so pretty, and this is great if you are a beginner in makeup or you're somebody that just loves simplicity. You can also layer them, so you can apply the crayon and then the glitter glaze. I've moved over to the Volcanic shade and I'm starting off with the crayon side. I'm applying that to the outer third of the mobile lid, tapering it down towards the lash line as we get to the centre, and then using a small brush to pull the colour out to create a subtle diffused wing. Next, I'm reaching for my Bobbi Brown long wear gel eyeliner in the shade Sepia Ink. I've mixed it with a mixing medium to make it a little bit more fluid, and I'm applying that to the base of this winged shadow. Now don't worry, we are going to keep blending this so that the actual metallic finish of the shadow comes through. We're not losing it. However, we are going to be layering over the top of this with the metallic glaze anyway. This is just giving us a bit of a stronger finish, but again, we are blending it out with a brush so it is a diffused winged liner. This is completely optional, you don't even have to add the eyeliner, or you could just keep it slightly rounded and following the lash line itself. You don't have to wing it out. So here I'm just making my way along the entire lash line, keeping it thinner and closer to the root of the eyelashes as we get towards the inner corner of the eye. So this is how it looks from the front. You can see the shape I'm going for. It's more elongated rather than kind of flicking upwards too high. Obviously, if you want more of a lifted look to your eyes, you can arch your wing slightly higher towards the tail of your eyebrow. For this particular look, I just wanted to elongate the eye. From this angle, you can see that I've followed along from my lower eyelash line as if it's continued up. That is the look that tends to suit my eye the most. And following on from your lower lash line, if you've got slightly hooded eyes, is definitely the way forward. Now I've got the shape of the wing and I've got that diffused finish, I'm tapping over it with the metallic side of the Volcanic glitter glaze. When I'm looking straight ahead, you can ever so slightly see the pink tones underneath my top waterline, and this becomes more obvious when we curl our lashes because they give that lifted look which exposes your top waterline. So the best way to do this is to cover it with a lovely liquid brown. You can use a cream-based product as long as there is a mixing medium in there to make it waterproof. My preference is this lovely cheap one by Wet n Wild in this dark brown shade. Then I'm just taking some dovetail lashes in various sizes and applying that all the way along the top lash line, starting with slightly smaller ones all the way across and then varying that with some longer lengths towards the middle and the outer half. I'm just using some duo glue, which is my favourite. It is the one that comes off the easiest, it doesn't tug at your lashes and it dries clear. You can use black but just don't blob it on your actual lid, otherwise it'll be a pain to remove. So this is how they look before I've applied any mascara. We do need to apply some mascara because my natural lashes aren't as dark as the falsies. So not only will it coat them, it will also help seal your lashes to the false ones. The mascara I'm using today is the Bobbi Brown Smoky Eye Mascara, and I'm concentrating the majority of this at the root of the eyelashes and then just pulling up. We don't want to coat too much of the spikes because otherwise it'll be a lot more obvious that they are not your natural lashes, and it will take away from that fluffy finish. So just apply a nice light coat. I wouldn't probably go for waterproof mascara unless it's your wedding day, only because you can reuse these lashes if you take them off gently. You can wash them. It's a bit fiddly. However, some of them are like £20 for a box, so I understand why you might want to keep them. However, just so you know, you can get them on AliExpress for a mere $1.50. So my preference would be that look there with nothing on my lower eyelash line. However, I know some of you do like to make your eyes a little bit more glam for the festive season. So I'm taking a small amount of my Sepia Ink Long Wear Gel Eyeliner by Bobbi Brown, and I'm taking that only halfway across my waterline so it doesn't close up the eye too much. And then underneath my lower lashes, I'm going in with the crayon side of the Volcanic Iconic London Crayon. I wanted to add a touch of glam but without it being too complicated, so this is a really simple way to amp up your eyes. So a lick of mascara on your lower lashes, and that just takes you from more of a daytime look to more of an evening look. I love how simplistic this look is, but it's so effective with that glitter. Now for those of you like me who only prefer a wash of colour or a balm on the lips, this is my favourite. This is by L'Oreal. It's called the Sexy Balm in 102 Gossip, which is a beautiful peachy pink. And as you can see, it goes lovely with this kind of glowy finish we've got to the skin. It's really simple, it's very fresh looking, and it's definitely my favourite. But I know some of you are going to want to sport a red lip for Christmas. So for this one, I'm using Raven by Nude Sticks, which is a beautiful deep toned red. It's a velvety matte finish, it's extremely comfortable, and if you've never tried Nude Sticks, where have you been? It is phenomenal. I love the brand, I love everything they produce. Everything is super high quality, and these lipsticks are by far the most comfortable I've ever tried. So as you can see, this one is like a deep berry tone with a slight raspberry finish, and this is going around the circumference of my lips, which I'm going to fill in with the shade Royal. This is more of a true red, and it's got a bit more of a kind of cherry tone to it. It's beautiful, and this works lovely on the very centre. It creates a bit more of an ombre effect. Because the eyes are relatively simplistic, you can play up the lips. I do have a 20% discount code for Nude Sticks, which I will link below. It's Shonagh20, and that gets you 20% off the Nude Sticks website. They ship worldwide, so definitely take advantage of that. So as always guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas and an even better new year. As always, thank you so much for your support throughout the years. I so appreciate you coming back to watch my content. If you're interested in seeing more of what I get up to on a daily basis, come follow me over on Instagram. And I will see you in my next tutorial. Bye guys!